Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to take a look at getting started with the Stormcast Eternals in Warhammer Age of Sigmar 4th edition using the faction Spearhead box set. Today's video is sponsored by Easy Roller Dice, fantastic quality, easily legible dice that make your games quick and easy. Easy Roller Dice also sell other accessories for your dice like dice trays, cases, bags and cups as well. Use the code CinderfulGaming to get 20% off your next order and help support this store and the channel. Leading the box set is Yndrasta, the Celestial Spear. She is a unique named hero for the Stormcast Eternals, and she has a health of 8, a 12-inch move which is backed up by the flyer keyword, meaning she can ignore all vertical terrain when moving, so long as she doesn't land or move on any impassable or unstable terrain. She's fine to pretty much move wherever she wants. She has a 3-up save with Ward 5+, as in her keywords, backing this up for some really solid defense, and a control score of 2. In her attack profile, she has Thenguvar, her spear, which can be used at both range and in combat. At range, it has a 12-inch range, 1 attack, 3s to hit, 2 to wound, rend 2, damage 4, and the anti-monster +1 rend ability. While in combat, it has 2 attacks, hitting and wounding on 2s with rend 2, only damage 3 however, with the anti-monster +1 rend ability as well. She also in combat attacks with the Blade of the Higher Heavens, 5 attacks here with 3s to hit and wound, rend 2, damage 3 again. Now the Prime Huntress passive ability doubles the damage of Thenguvar if she ever attacks a model, so this will up its range damage to 8 and its combat damage to 6, an incredibly powerful piece to take out monsters with. On Wings of Brilliance is another passive ability where she adds 1 to the number of dice rolled when making charge rolls to a maximum of 3. And Dazzling Radiance is a passive ability that allows you to ignore negative modifiers to control scores of friendly Stormcast Eternal units while they're wholly within 12 inch of her. She's a really solid piece all around, and she has the Warmaster keyword as well, meaning she must always be your general, but this isn't too bad of a thing considering how much of a powerhouse she is. As a hero, Yndrasta can have her own regiment as well, and in her regiment she can have any Stormcast Eternal unit she wants, and can also have 0 to 1 Stormcast Exemplar, which are a bunch of different smaller Stormcast characters, things like the Knight Vexilla for example. Next up we have the Vanquishers. We get 10 models of these in the box set, and you can build these up as either 2 units of 5 or 1 unit of 10 Vanquishers if you want. A unit of Vanquishers has 2 health each, movement of 5, a 3+ save, control score of 1. This is pretty standard for Stormcast Eternals infantry. The Celestial Great Swords have 2 attacks each with hitting and wounding on 3s, rend 1, damage 1, and the anti-infantry +1 rend ability. To back up those abilities going into anti-infantry, they also add 1 to the damage of their greatswords if they attack a unit that has 5 or more models. They're able to take what's colourfully known as a full command, which includes a champion, musician and standard bearer all in the unit as well. Next is the Knight Vexilla. The Knight Vexilla has 6 health, a 5-inch move, 3+ save and control score of 5. His Sigmar Warblade in combat is 4 attacks at 3s to hit and wound with rend 1, damage 2. Now this model is a hero and has the any hero phase ability, the Banner of the Reforged. You can pick D3 friendly Stormcast Eternal units wholly within 12 inch of this to be the target, and it adds 3 to the control score of each of those for the rest of the turn, and in addition will heal D3 those targets as well. This is a really cool little buff piece. This combined with Yndrasta is a nice little combo because it'll not only boost your control score of nearby Stormcast but stop it being lowered as well thanks to Yndrasta's ability, but also bring some healing to the table as well, which can be used to keep Yndrasta alive even longer. There's definitely a bunch of ways that this can sort of fit into your army. It can be its own hero and lead its own regiment, which will allow it to have 0 to 1 Gryph-hounds and any warrior chamber units it wants in its own regiment, or as mentioned with Yndrasta, it can be one of the Stormcast exemplars and join particular other characters' regiments. Next is the Stormstrike Chariot. The Chariot here is a fantastically good fast moving piece that does damage upon impact. It has 10 health, a 10-inch move, 3+ save and control score of 2. It is a War Machine keyworded model as well, so beware of anything with like the anti-War Machine rules that will affect this. It has the option of either taking as an extra weapon either the Tempestuous Spear or the Great Stormbow. I personally prefer the Great Stormbow. I think when you can get lucky with this, it is a really good weapon to have. The Tempestuous Spear doesn't really add an awful lot. The Great Stormbow is 18-inch range with 2 attacks, 3s to hit and wound with Ren 1 damage 1, the anti-infantry +1 Ren rule, but also crit 2 hits on it, so if you can get lucky, it can do quite a bit of damage. The Stormstrike Axe is your other main weapon, and this will always be equipped in combat. You have 3 attacks at 3s to hit and wound with Ren 1 damage 1 and the charge +1 damage rule for some extra damage on the charge. Now, combining that in that charge as well, you also have Azir Unleashed, where you can do some mortal damage when you charge into enemy units. And Celestial Blaze, another passive ability, whenever you use the pass through command, you can inflict D3 mortal damage on a target and add D6 to the distance you can do with your power through command as well. This makes this unit really hard to tie down. It can do a bunch of mortal damage even if it still is in combat, and it really wants to be targeting like enemy infantry units as you would fully expect a chariot to be wanting to do. Lastly, in the box set, we have a unit of Annihilators. These are very tough Stormcast Eternal models with 3 health, a 4-inch move, 2+ save, and control score of 1. In combat, they attack with their Meteoric Hammers for 3 attacks at 3s to hit and wound with Ren 1 damage 2. This makes them a fantastic unit for what might seem holding objectives at first glance, but in fact they're actually much better at being used more offensively, coming down from the heavens, striking into your opponent's zone, and then holding their ground. Their Brace for impact can be used during any charge phase, and you pick an enemy unit that's been charged by them, and you roll a dice for each one on this unit, and if any of those rolls are a 6, the enemy unit will have struck last. And Blazing Impact is used during a movement phase, where if this unit was set up using the Signs of the Storm ability, the Stormcast ability, where we drop units down from the heavens having kept them off the board at the start of the game, we can then pick up to 3 enemy units within 10-inch, and for each D3 roll on the target, on a 2+, you inflict amount of mortal damage equal to the target roll. So these guys will, be much better fighting further in. If you're going to use them to hold objectives and hold points on the battlefield, then it may be appropriate, depending on what style of game you're playing, whether it's Path to Glory or whatnot. You're going to want to use them more aggressively, push them forward, get them to do their mortal damage, get them to make the enemy strike last, and hit them hard with their hammers before claiming the objective zones maybe deeper into the battlefield. Now, where to go next? We're just going to add a single unit because we actually do have 1,000 points, in fact just over 1,000 points in the initial box set, but something that we don't have in that box set is a way to make any of the particular battle formations work for us. And the first unit we're going to look at, and the only unit we're going to look at, are the Prosecutors. Now this could be substituted for other units of similar points cost. Effectively, you're looking for a unit that doesn't have the Warrior Chamber keyword to make the most out of the Thunderhead host. Prosecutors are a fantastic unit for this. They're fast moving, meaning they can keep up with things like our Stormstrike Chariot and Yndrasta, but they can also provide us with nice buffs around them when we'll get to looking at that in just a sec in our list. Prosecutors themselves though do have 2 health, a 12-inch move, a 3+ save, control score of 1, and the Stormstrike Javelins are pretty decent at range with 1 attack and also get them some charge +1 damage when they go into melee. Like Yndrasta, they can roll 3d6 when making charges. Disperse formation just helps sort of rank them up other than that. But we also have the Ruination Chamber rule on them because they have the Ruination Chamber keyword, and this means they can make a resistance roll anytime they're affected by a non-core ability. You get to choose to roll a dice on a d6, and on a 4+, the effect will have no effect on them. They have Flyer to go along with that nice 12-inch move as well. I mean, they do have giant wings, it's what you expect. And they provide us with a unit that can get around the table and get to where we want to put those buffs for the turn. And so our list today, as I mentioned, will be Stormcast Eternals, and we're going to be using the Thunderhead host because we have the passive ability Synchronized Strikes here, where we add 1 to hit rolls for Warrior Chamber units that are wholly within 12-inch of any friendly non-hero Stormcast Eternals units that don't have the Warrior Chamber keyword. So the Prosecutors are not only going to be able to do their own thing, but they're going to act as a little +1 to hit buffer whenever they're pairing with like another unit we have on the table. Our first regiment though in our army will be led by none other than Yndrasta, who thanks to our Warmaster keyword will be our general. She's also going to have all our units in her regiment, so we're only going to have 1 regiment in this force. We've got our Vanquishers unit, which has been reinforced. We then have our Knight Vexler, who's taken both our heroic trait and artifact of power. The heroic trait is going to be Staunch Defender. This will allow us to add 3 to the control score of friendly Stormcast Eternals units contesting the same objective this model's contesting. And then we've also got the Mirror Shield, which is some protection against shooting. Next we have our Annihilators, though in this list you could easily swap these out for the Stormstrike Chariot. It's really one or the other, whichever one you want to take in this list. And lastly we have the Prosecutors in there for our 1000-point army. We hope this video was helpful in getting you started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and it was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any other questions at all, please comment down below, and while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our Discord server to check out all our future Warhammer Age of Sigmar content.